All right, guys, so if you haven't noticed, we are officially in April, and we got our Baltimore Ravens mock draft 3.0 for you guys today. We are only 22 days away from the NFL draft, one of my favorite times of the year. Just a reminder of our first mock drafts. We had in the 1.0, we had Shamar Stewart as our first round pick, the edge rusher out of Texas A&M, and then the other in our second mock draft, we had Benjamin Morrison, the cornerback out of Notre Dame in the first round. Now, if you would ask me, before we get into these picks, we'll get into them in a minute, but if you would ask me, like, my confidence level that the Baltimore Ravens, like, what side of the football they'll pick at, I would tell you I'm like 90% sure that the Baltimore Ravens first round selection will be a defensive player, whether that's corner, safety, edge rusher, defensive tackle, maybe even one of the top two linebackers that could fall in the first round and could start next to Roquan Smith, which could really be scary hours for opposing offenses with two elite linebackers as well. So the Baltimore Ravens, I think this is more of a defensive draft class, especially in the first round. There's probably about 7 edge rushers that are first round caliber type of players. A couple of safeties, a couple of corners, some defensive tackles, pretty deep there, some linebackers. I think the Ravens are going to grab a young star power impact defensive player. And in this mock draft in the first round, we had the Baltimore Ravens drafting edge rusher James Pearce Jr. out of Tennessee. This is a guy who is not a complete 3-down player right now. I'll be honest with you guys. He is not going to consistently hold up against the run, at least in his rookie year. He's about 245 pounds, but he's got lightning speed and juice as a pass rusher to absolutely burn guys off the edge. We have enough run defenders. You know, we got Adisa Isaac, we got Kyle Van Noy, we got Owe, who can all hold up against the run. We need some more pass rush juice when it's 3rd down and 10, 3rd down and 15 in the AFC Championship, and Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen is dropping back. You need someone with lightning speed to bend around that edge and win consistently as a pass rusher. I think the Baltimore Ravens have been looking for another homegrown pass rusher type of star. You know, Dafe Owe has flirted with flashes of greatness. He had double-digit sacks this last year. He's gotten better each year. Maybe he takes another step and he goes from like above average to a great/elite player. But right now, Dafe Owe isn't that star caliber player. I think the Baltimore Ravens are going to keep swinging for some more pass rush talent. James Pearce would be that guy. He ran a 4.47 at the combine, which is 99th percentile. 7.5 sacks for Tennessee this last year. 10 sacks the year before with 14.5 tackles for loss. Very explosive first step as a pass rusher. The weakness is his play strength. You know, he's not going to consistently bull rush guys, but he can threaten with the speed to power and knock guys off their base. But the biggest concern right now is his play strength and holding up in the run game. Am I really concerned about that with the other guys that we have? I think he can develop into a 3-down player while, you know, his rookie year getting in as a pass rusher on 3rd down. I think he's a great fit for a 3-4 defense that we run. Will he make it to pick number 27? Possibly. I've seen so many opinions about these edge rushers, where they're ranked. On NFLDraftBuzz.com, he's the 2nd best edge rusher behind Abdul Carter. And other places I've looked, he's like the 30th overall prospect and could definitely fall to the Ravens. So this edge rushing class is unique. There's flavors. There's the big power guys. There's the bendy guys. There's the speed guys. Abdul Carter is probably the most complete, explosive prospect. He's going to go top 5, no doubt. But then there's guys like Mikael Williams, Shamar Stewart, Nick Scourton, Mike Green. Guys like that could be well in reach for the Baltimore Ravens at pick number 27. All right, so this is why I'm saying with our 2nd round pick, I had the Baltimore Ravens going with cornerback Darian Porter out of Iowa State. Before I break this pick down, let me tell you why I think the Ravens are going defense, okay? Look at the Ravens offense right now. Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson. You got your backup quarterback right now with Cooper Rush. You got Justice Hill and Keaton Mitchell. The offensive line is maybe the only spot you could look to add a starter at one of the guard spots. But both tackle positions are locked down. Center position's locked down. Plus, you still got Daniel Falele coming back, Andrew Voorhees. So the cupboard's not bare there at the guard position. Ben Cleveland also back under contract. Wide receivers, Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, DeAndre Hopkins, Tylan Wallace coming back. 3 really good tight ends, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, and Charlie Kohler. But the Ravens, they got holes on defense. They could add another defensive tackle. Michael Pearce just retired. They need more edge rush juice. Odafe Oweh and Kyle Van Noy are 2 great starters. You need more. Adisa Isaac and David Ojabo are going to be on the roster. They could turn into something. You never know. These guys do develop. David Ojabo, it's so crazy. It blows my mind. It's like, man, he flashes all throughout training camp. And then against the Chiefs in week 1, he sacks Patrick Mahomes. I'm like, let's go. The David Ojabo breakout is here, and then just falls off. He's dealt with injuries. He's dealt with inconsistencies and stuff, but he's talented. Can he put it together? Can he be consistent? Can he stay healthy? That remains to be seen. Adisa Isaac showed some flashes last year as well. The Ravens kids add more juice at edge rusher. The Ravens just lost 2 linebackers in free agency. They lost Malik Harrison and Chris Board, who were in there on that rotation and special teams guys. So you definitely need more bodies in the linebacker room. Right now, your only real depth is Roquan Smith and Trenton Simpson, who was benched last year. So you need more linebacker depth. You need more corner depth because, listen, corner is huge, all right? John Harbaugh just said, and this is why I had the Ravens going with a corner in the second round, but John Harbaugh just told us that he prefers Marlon Humphrey in the slot. Both of his Pro Bowl type of years, his best years, came in the slot. He is a dog in the slot, and I think that's where they want to keep him. So Marlon Humphrey inside as a slot, the nickel defensive back. Nate Wiggins on the outside. Who's the other outside guy? Brendan Stevens is gone in free agency. So right now on the roster, you got Jalen Armour-Davis, who's shown good stuff when healthy, but he's not healthy usually. You have TJ Tampa, who was a 4th-round selection last year, who's very talented and I think could be in that mix as well. And then you got the free agent, Chidobe Awuzie, which is just a big flyer, big unknown, but he is veteran depth. So if the Ravens were to have an injury with Marlon Humphrey or Nate Wiggins, that could be scary hours for the cornerback room. You need more talent in that room. So like I said, I'm 90% sure the Ravens are going defense. 2nd round pick, we have cornerback Darian Porter out of Iowa. Now, listen to this draft prospect summary here. Darian Porter is a boomer bust of a cornerback prospect. He has a relative athleticism score of 9.99 out of 10. By drafting him, you're getting a moldable ball of clay with elite height, elite length, and elite speed. He has top-notch ball skills, with a background as a receiver showing up in his coordination and ball tracking capabilities. He's got elite physical attributes, and he seems to fare well in coverage. His ability to process off the line of scrimmage and off man and zones are very encouraging. The concerns is he's lanky and he lacks tremendous physicality. He's a raw processor who often gets caught diagnosing plays a split second too late often. So he's raw. I know another guy that was considered raw was Brendan Stevens. He turned into a nice starting cornerback, especially in 2023. That year was crazy. He was a top 10 corner that year and then fell off in 2024. Marlon Humphrey was also considered to be very physical with elite height, length, and speed, and also being raw. And then you saw what he developed into. My point is the Ravens, if there's one team that can develop these defensive backs, these young corners, with the coaching staff, it's the Ravens. I mean, the new defensive backs, secondary coach and Chuck Pagano, the new secondary coach brought in from Kansas City, Zach Orr and Dean Pease, John Harbaugh with the background and secondary coaching as well. These guys can coach up young defensive backs. We've seen it time in and time out with guys like Marlon Humphrey, Nate Wiggins, and I think they could do it again with Darian Porter, who's 6'2", 195 pounds with a lot of athleticism. Darian Porter. As you see, the first 2 picks, I'm going defense. I'm hammering that defense. It was getting pretty good towards the end of last year, but I think year 2 of Zach Orr, the new coaching staff, almost all the guys coming back, plus some fresh young talent could put this defense back in that elite, consistent top 3 status where they're really causing issues for opposing offenses. Third round pick, I got offensive guard Wyatt Milam out of West Virginia. West Virginia continues to provide great starting offensive linemen, specifically guards and centers, to the NFL almost every year. Here's his summary here. With proper hand placement and a high football IQ and above average play strength, he has the intelligence and power needed to slide into a starting role day one in the NFL. He was a tackle primarily in college, but he's projected to probably be more of a guard. And I think this would provide more competition for that left and right guard spot. Daniel Falele, Andrew Voorhees, and Ben Cleveland. I'd like to see some more young talent thrown into on this offensive line to keep the trenches strong moving forward. Also says he has experience with his own run blocking schemes, which the Ravens dabbled into, but also has gap versatility. High floor prospect. It says there are offensive linemen with higher ceilings, but his floor is one of the highest in the class. And to me, that's not like a knock. Like offensive lineman with a high floor is great. Just a guy that doesn't consistently get beat, a guy that doesn't cause massive mistakes. Like that's the type of player that's consistent and keeps your quarterback from getting killed in those big leverage moments. With our 4th round pick, we have wide receiver Deontay Thornton out of Tennessee. So going to the Tennessee well twice. These big schools usually have a nice track record of producing big players. 6'4", 205 pounds, lightning speed. Thing is he's raw with his route running. He's a explosive, deep threat. That's kind of what he is right now. Devontae Walker could be a similar comp. How will Devontae Walker play out? Will he develop? Will he get on the field more? Will that raw speed translate? He's a 4-3 type of player. I don't know, but you can never have enough deep threats on your offense, that's for sure. Our second 4th round pick, at 136, we have defensive tackle Jordan Phillips. So as you can see, 3 out of the 5 picks here going to the defense, and then we have a wide receiver and an offensive lineman to provide depth and bolster that offense as well. But Jordan Phillips out of Maryland, really like this guy. He's 6'1", 312 pounds. It says he's one of the most naturally gifted defensive tackles in the class, with well-proportioned, explosive, and young. He shows ferocity. His horizontal athleticism was clear in 2024. However, Phillips is a perfect example of how important it can be to stay in school and play more snaps before making the jump. So it says the Maryland nose tackle will almost certainly need a multi-year runway before becoming a difference maker in the NFL. But from a physical perspective, there's nothing the guy can't accomplish. He's just raw. He needs to learn. Travis Jones will be a free agent next year. Brent Urban is getting older. Michael Pearce just retired. The Ravens need more young, beefy guys in that rotation. You never want your run defense to become a place of weakness where teams are gashing you for 5-yard pop after 5-yard pop. You need to keep that defensive line rotation strong and stout. I think the Ravens definitely have some room for improvement on that defensive line. Imagine if Travis Jones goes down. How are you feeling about Broderick Washington and Brent Urban being the primary guys, like stopping the run? Matabike, we know what he can do, what he's capable of, but you need more guys. You need more rotation. You need more depth there. Defensive linemen, their body takes a toll, man. They get beat up, and you need strong guys in there that can keep that rotation fresh. So let me know in the comment section below. This is just a 4-round mock draft. Your favorite selections, the picks you didn't like. Let me know your favorite first-round projections for the Baltimore Ravens, and maybe one of those guys will be featured in our next mock draft, man. Smash the like button if you got any value out of today's content. I love you guys. I appreciate y'all, and we'll see you in the next video.
Ray, when he wasn't looking, he ran me over.